Hi there, can I get started for you?
Yeah, hi. Can I get a MachE Auto, please?
Pardon?
A MachE Auto?
A macchiato?
Yeah, oh, sorry. A Mach-E Auto, yeah.
Sorry, we don't have those here.
Oh. Isn't it Starbucks?
Starbucks is just across the street.
Oh, okay, perfect, thank you.
No problem.
Next, she's gonna tell me that the Mustang is an SUV. Crazy world we live in today. What's up, internet world, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I bring you the 2021 Ford Mustang Mach-E. Yes, you heard me right. This is a Mustang. What? Yes, 100% SUV, 100% electric. There's no V8 underneath this hood. There's not even a 4-cylinder in a beautiful shell like they do in the current Mustang, because they still make the current Mustang. But this is the future. Now, why did they pick Thunderbird? They could have even called it Horsey or Pony. Lots of E's, but this was the only vehicle ever to actually drop Tesla stock. You see, when they decided to tell the world about their 100% electric, 100% SUV with a Mustang name, this actually dropped Tesla stock. That's crazy. And in typical domestic fashion, there's a whole bunch of options you can get for your Mach-E. They make the Select, which is the starting model. Then they make the Premium, they make the California Route 1, and then of course, the GT that's gonna come out that I'm pumped to drive because it is so fast. Nonetheless, this is a premium with the extended battery. So you can get them in two batteries, a 68 kilowatt hour battery and an 88 kilowatt hour battery, which is what this one is. And it gives you just about 483 kilometers of range, or about 350 miles or so, which is at that threshold where it becomes usable every day and maybe a first car even. Now you can get them in rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive, and in terms of horsepower, they range anywhere from 266 horsepower all the way up to 480 horsepower with a whopping 634 foot-pounds of torque. This specific one makes 346 horsepower because it is all-wheel drive and 428 foot-pounds of torque. Now the one thing which would have been pretty cool is if they actually had an illumination or LEDs that illuminated around the front of the horse logo. That would have been pretty sweet, but I got something interesting to show you underneath the hood. So let's jump in and take a look at what's underneath the front hood here. Now, come over here and check this out. Yes, they do have storage compartment for all your drinks. That means if you spill a drink or if you want to, yeah, I kid you not, you can do this. This is one of the pieces that make this the 2021 Utility Vehicle of the Year. From this type of thought process, you can actually use this as a cooler. You can stack with ice, put your drinks in here, and take it to the party. It's amazing where we're going with cars. We're just adding more cool stuff as we go. We're just making stuff up and making cool stuff as we go. So there's this. If you don't close the front hood hard enough on the first go, you can't actually close it after the fact. You actually have to go back, unlock it, and slam it again. So on the first time, slam it hard. So as I approach the car with my actual key fob that comes standard with the Mustang, not as an extra option, you can also obviously use your phone because that's what it's really designed to use to start this car and get in it. But they actually give you a key fob with it, which is kind of cool. Now I'm gonna put the key fob here. And let's talk about the front end. These headlights have what they call a 3 vertical bar design. And you can see it because at the bottom you see all these vertical bars actually make indentations on the headlight. Now the front end of this vehicle is obviously electric with these active grille shutters that open and close for cooling of the batteries. But what do you guys think about this front end? Now it is long and it's supposed to resemble the Mustang. So this is the most Mustang-y part of this whole vehicle. And when I show you the side of the car, you'll see that there's nothing really Mustang about the side of this car. So let's go and take a look. Now there's a lot to talk about when we talk about the side of this vehicle. First, let's start with the badging. So Mach-E 4, that stands for all-wheel drive, obviously, and X stands for the extended battery, because this does, as I mentioned, has an 88 kilowatt hour battery. Now, if we take a look at the other pieces of this side, there's no door handles on the side of this car whatsoever. When you look at it, yeah, it's just wide open, clean lines, nothing to see here. But where's the handles? How do you get in it? And it's done by pushing this little button here, and then it pops open. So it pops open fairly wide for me to actually put my hand into the door or put my hand on this little handle here and pull. Now, the cool part about this is that we're in a warm climate now inside the showroom, but when it's minus 20 or minus 30 outside, how is this gonna fare up? And that's something really interesting to see, how this thing will actually work when your hands are frozen and you have gloves on and you press this button. Will it actually open as easy as this? Interested to find out. When I unlock the door, it sort of has a prop that doesn't let me close it. Like, I physically cannot close this door. Can't close it. And that is because this prop is probably designed for little children so their hands don't get taken off, because that's everybody's worst nightmare, of having their finger jammed into a door. That's my first thought process. The second thought process is, if it actually does get frozen, maybe it helps prod the door open a little bit stronger than just by pulling this handle, because this handle probably won't have the strength. Maybe it will, who knows? But at the end of the day, there's obviously some thought gone into this thing, and now I can close it. Now, moving to the back door, there's actually no handle whatsoever on the side of this. There is the button, I pop it open, and it does open just a little bit more than the front door. Now again, I cannot close it. Once I press the button, I cannot close it. I have to actually put my hand where the door opens and open it up. And you can hear that little stopper go in when I do that. The other cool part about it is, because Ford knows there's no handles here, they've actually put this rubber piece on the back here that I can put my hand anywhere down the inside of this door panel and I can open the door. That is pretty cool. So here's where that visual trick really takes effect, in this different color. Now, when you look at the white part of the vehicle, it looks like it slopes down like a fastback. But when you're inside the vehicle, you've got a ton of headroom, because this is the actual roof. This is a visual trick, and they've done a great job with it. They've really come out the box. Everything about this is out of the box. Ford, out of the box. So two things. One is the Mustang sill they have here. So strange seeing a Mustang in this, just weird. But check this out. Look at the thickness of this. This is the most weirdest thing I've ever seen. And I didn't really notice it here, but I really noticed it here. When you look at the cross section of this door panel, this is massive. Never seen that before. Now I want to remind you, this is an all-wheel drive, so it's a single speed with dual motors, front and obviously in the back. Now, visually in the back, what do you guys see? Now, the taillights are definitely Mustang. They do have the dynamic lines that go side to side. And again, they're playing visual tricks, because if you look, the roof slopes down, is black, and on the bottom here, the rear bumper is black, and in the center, it's all paint color. Now, that tells me that this portion of it resembles the Mustang, and this portion of it resembles the Mach-E. Now, let's take a look and see how to get in the trunk and how usable this trunk space is. Now, because of the slant back, it does look like you don't get a lot of room, but again, you do. Now, there's a couple key features about this trunk. One, let's measure it out, and you get 34.5 inches from end to end. That's how much depth you have in this trunk. But there's some thought process with the trunk. One, you can obviously drop this floor down to get more trunk space, because if you were to carry something tall, like a plant or so, because of the sloped back, they actually have a very flexible rear cargo shelf, because most manufacturers don't. You have to take it out because you've got something tall, and you don't know where to put this long thing. So this flexes, which is pretty smart thinking. Also, this is where you put your charger. But check this out, because they didn't want this thing to be sliding around everywhere, they put Velcro on the bottom. Smart thinking, Ford. Smart thinking. All right, so we're using the charger that comes with the Mach-E. Now, it's fairly simple. You just plug it in. You can set a timer if you'd like. But charging is one of those pieces that people really need to understand, because here's the deal, is if your battery is at 70% and you plug it in, you might get about 25 to 30 miles per hour. Whereas if you have 20% of battery life left in the vehicle and you plug it in, then you might get 40 miles per charging hour. So it varies based on how much battery you have life left in the vehicle, as opposed to just a generic number that happens consistently. So something to keep in mind, when you hear these numbers, it's different across the board. And take a look at this little circle here. That shows how much power is in the battery currently. Obviously, as it gets more power, these will all illuminate until you're full. That is a really cool piece, as opposed to jumping in the car to see where you're at with power. I like it. All right, so I'm in the back of the 2021 Ford Mustang Mach-E. So first things first, you can tell this is a huge, huge moonroof, and we'll talk in the drive about how the sun may or may not affect my head. Now, how does it feel back here? Very comfortable seats. I talk about it in the front as well. These are really, really comfortable, these seats. Ford's just getting better. I mean, I've noticed it with the Bronco Sport that the quality of their seats are just getting better and better. Now, this does have two cup holders here. This specific one, as a premium, doesn't have heated rear seats, but it does have USB-C and USBs. I also like the fact that with the B&Os, they put this small little B&O little symbol right on each speaker. And it's a different material. They've used different materials, so the door panels aren't cheap. They're actually good quality. So the odd thing is that I'm in the back here and I'm trying to get out and I can't. I'm locked. So it must be a setting inside or something, but yeah, get me out of here. Ian, get me out of here. Open sesame. Push the button and we'll get out. First things first, listen to this sound. Does this sound like a Ford to you? It's the most gentle door humming noise I've ever heard, because Fords are so annoying, but this is not annoying. So you're getting better. Look at this dash. Guys, look at this dash. They've done a great job mixing materials. What is going on? What is going on? Ford, look at this dash. They've got sort of this carbon fiber matte finish. They've got synthetic leathers. They've got white stitching. They've got the Bang & Olufsen speaker that's sort of embedded in the dash all the way through. And because this is electric, check out this steering wheel. I can go like this and it continues to turn. Watch. Look at that. No other car. You could just do this and then it does for you. It's amazing. And look, I mean, amen. Listen, guys, let's be real. I've been waiting a long time for domestic product to actually make the shift into the 21st century, or whatever century we're in, because they've done a good job. Mixing materials is nothing that domestic products seem to do well. Like, they just don't. But they've done a good job here. I'm still a bit thrown off with this Mustang thing everywhere, because again, this doesn't look or feel like a Mustang, but check out this 15-inch screen. It's similar to the Explorer ST we had the other day, but just a million times better. Like, look at the integration of everything. Now, you'd have your phone, and I wish I could have my phone programmed to this car, but unfortunately we only have this car for a short period of time. Now, how does this compare against a Tesla? Now, on the inside, there is some differences. One is hard buttons. They understand that people can't just go from hard buttons everywhere to no buttons at all. So along with this volume control right in the center, they also do have a steering wheel that does have more than just a slider on the left and a slider on the right. They also have the center driver cluster that, to me, is kind of the difference maker here, because it says data that you actually need to know on an instant basis. It obviously says your speed, not on the corner here. It says the speed, it says what gear you're in. It obviously has your 360 sensors, if the door is unlocked or locked, and then the battery power in terms of percentages and how much range I have left. Also, they've also put hard buttons on memory on the door panel, but they're not big and bulky. They're really small and sort of modern. And in the center console here, I like how they have 3 stages. They do have the armrest. I wish it would slide backwards and forward, as I mentioned in the drive. But on the inside here, you do have a lot of storage. They do have a spot for the key, which is kind of interesting. They've kind of taken that. But the quality, listen to this. When I close, it's solid. there's like rubber padding there. It's not a clunk, there's no plastic. And that's what they've done. They've pulled a lot of plastic out of it. There's no plastic. And the bottom level, or the third level of this center console, actually has wireless charging here on the left. And it looks to appear that you can put 2 phones, but when you lift up this pad, you can see it's for a single phone. Now, on the bottom here, you do have some extra storage you can put, which is nice. So they actually have taken advantage of as much space as they can in here. And another interesting piece is underneath, right here, you may or may not be able to see it, there is some padding. And that is so the seat doesn't rattle against the center console. Probably in some early testing, they noticed it rattles, so they put this Velcro sort of padding piece here. So, nice touch. You see, Germans do that around the seat belt, which you can see here is also done. So, we're getting better. We're getting better. Look at these fireworks. Look at this. That's awesome. When you get in, you get hyped and excited. All right, so check out the quality and the simplicity of how easy it is to use this center screen. Now, let's start at the basics. We hit the vehicle button and it'll bring up basically 2 main agendas essentially, and controls is one and settings is the other. And in each one of these, you've got drive modes in this specific case. So the first drive mode is engage, then whisper, then unbridled. So it's a little bit tricky because in my opinion, I would have switched these. I would have had whisper at the top because that is where you save the most battery. Engage is a little bit more aggressive, and then unbridled is as aggressive as you can get. So kind of strange how they've sort of had it in this way. But the cool part about it is that when you pick each drive mode, it actually changes the way the display looks. And the display doesn't change until you actually drive. So when I hit unbridled, you sort of see the front display have these little aggressive lines to them, but they actually don't engage until you drive. And I really like the fact that these are just directly in your face. There's no 5 or 6 menus you have to go through, but the fact that you can hit one pedal drive, and I'll show you in the drive part how it works and how good it is. With ambient lighting, probably not so exciting to put it as a second menu. I would have put propulsion sound second because these two, one pedal drive and propulsion sound, are probably going to be used all the time. Now, cameras. Great 360 cameras, and I just like the way how easy this is. So let's zoom into the car. Now, obviously we can nitpick and say, well, this isn't the right color, it's the wrong car, I don't like the black boxes. Yeah, you can, but check this out. You can zoom at different angles at any time, which is pretty cool to have. Your front, your back, and it displays right here. That is pretty cool. I just like the way they've layered it out. And it's not like a hard cut, it's just clean and easy. This always stays consistent. You see your HVAC controls are always there. Your heated seats, your heated steering wheel. Again, we can be picky about the fact that you can't pick the intensity of the heat on the steering wheel. We can pick all those little things, but let's get back to the car. So as we go through the list here, we've got drive modes, camera, parking, access. And access would be stuff like opening the trunk, because this doesn't actually physically have a hard button to open the trunk from inside the cabin. You actually have to go into the screen and press the trunk. Now, you can also close it, which is pretty cool from inside the cabin. Again, I would like to have a button inside, like a hard button, but unfortunately it doesn't have one. Driver assistance is the next one, auto hold, traction control, which is another one. There's no ESP on a hard button here. I actually have to go in the menu to do donuts. Valet mode, again, probably not the best place to put it, but there it is. But here's the cool part, and this is where the meat and potatoes are. Personal profiles. You can set a personal profile per person that's going to get in this car. So let's try creating one. Profile setup. There we go. Now you pick a memory button. So you can pick 1 to 3. I'll pick 1, and then we'll get to the next one, which will be a display photograph. So you can set, once you sync your phone with the Ford Connect or the Ford Pass, you actually have a display photo that will show up right there. So when you have different people jump in the car, they'll have their own faces. That is pretty cool. But in this specific case, I'll just pick that guy. And then to link YouTube's profile with the key fob, press the lock and then you sync it together. That is pretty cool. And now it has different setups for me when I get in the car. Like, it's easy. It's an easy setup right here. Again, let's go down the list here. Now see how customizable it is. Look at your driver assistance. You can pick and choose anything you want. I mean, the options are endless. When I go to vehicle, like, look at this. Rear occupant alert, alarm system, remote start setup, your wipers, like your brake coach, it just on and on and on. General. You can change your measurement units. So no matter where you live, if you live in the US or live in Canada and you want it in miles or kilometers an hour, you can pick and choose that. And then your display, kind of cool. You can set a comm screen, you can have this to brighten up. Now in the Teslas, they do have it a little bit more accessible, but I would say there's nothing wrong with this. It's fairly straightforward, but check this out. When I click on YouTube, there's my suggestions I can have. So I can pick your next EV charge. It'll show me exactly where the rest of the chargers are with one button. And that I think is important because people will have issues with knowing where the closest charging station is. And having this easy accessibility, and I would say easy, I really stress easy, because if it's hard to find a charging station, forget it, you're not interested. But check this out, like, it's just done well. They haven't wasted space, and I really found they wasted space in the Ford Explorer ST. But this one, they've done a really good job. They've obviously cleaned it up, and here we go. The inside of the 2021 Mach-E. Now let's take this for a drive. And on the throttle, 346 horsepower and 428 foot-pounds of torque that does 0 to 60 in 5.1 seconds on the throttle. Now, I love that propulsion sound, as I mentioned 100 times. That to me is king, and they've done a great job with it. Now, it gets a ton of looks. I think it's probably because it doesn't look like a beluga whale. So when people see this, they're like, that's a good looking, what's that? Is that Ford? Yes, it is. It's the new Ford E Mustang SUV. Drive modes, unbridled mode. On the throttle. On the brakes. On the throttle. Just sounds so good. It does such a good job over bumps. The bumps, it takes the bumps so well. It's such a weird feeling that we can get both sides. You can get one that handles well. You can have fun with it. It takes the bumps well. It's not stiff whatsoever. There's no stiffness to this thing. Is it bubbly? The steering's a bit bubbly. It's fairly direct, but it's a little bit bubbly. So there's a little bit of maneuvering I can do over here. We're not turning, we're still going straight. So maybe they can tighten that up a little bit, but they probably will on the GT version that does 0 to 60 in like 3.1 seconds or 3.2 seconds. That is Tesla Model 3 performance stuff, which I'm looking forward to. It also has a different grille in the front and hopefully different sounds. Hopefully different sounds. That'll be sweet. We're finally getting that point where electric is getting exciting. I mean, it's probably always been exciting for the Tesla guys, but hey, we're on the other side, man. We're on the other side, the non-Tesla side. And that Mustang GT Performance Edition will make something around 480 horsepower and 600 and something foot-pounds of torque. Man, crazy. Only available on all-wheel drive though. Can't get that in rear-wheel drive. That'd be a donut machine. So let's say you didn't want to drive in one pedal braking. What you can do is you can actually just press the L, which in most cars is a low gear, and it'll automatically regen fairly high. So right now I'm not in one pedal driving and I'm in total coast mode, and I press the L button and we're automatically just starting to brake. On the throttle, let go, we're starting to brake again. So it's sort of like one pedal driving, except it's just by a button. And on the throttle. I just love this propulsion sound, it's awesome. And it's cool because the speed in this specific case is kilometers an hour, but underneath it says ground speed, like a tribute or a little like gift to you because we're not in air, it's ground speed. I just can't get this grin off my face with this sound. I love it. As I said, I'd love if they have it in V8 supercharger, V8 turbo, whatever different sounds that Ford makes, they'd have it in here. That would be sick. Love it. On the throttle. I got the back end to slide out. Awesome. On the throttle. Oh man, this back end comes out. Come on. You must be kidding me. Man, that was not expected at all. On the throttle. Oh my God, I cannot believe this thing. That's amazing. On the throttle. Oh my God, that's hilarious. The ESP kicks in, but it lets you slide out a little bit. On the throttle, comes out a bit. Oh man, that's amazing. Oh my God. Oh my God, that's hilarious. That is funny. I was not expecting the back end to come out of this thing, to be honest, at all. But it does. The Mustang SUV back end comes out electric. Now what I am noticing is sitting here and driving, this has a very long hood because they're trying to make that design from the Mustang. So it does have a long hood. As far as the back here, this feels like a very, very long car. It isn't. It doesn't really feel that way when I'm driving it. Now it does have some body roll, as I mentioned, but it's like weird. I don't really drive cars that have body roll but then still handle very well, and that's just electric. Electric is just different kind of thought process. It's just totally different. They're gonna sell a lot of these, man. They're gonna sell a lot of these, and they're gonna pull the Mustang. That is for sure. The Mustang's just a marketing play. If this is gonna be called the Ford Mach-E, they're gonna pull the Mustang in 2 years, I bet. Mark my words. Comment below in 2 years and let me know if you think they're still gonna use the name Mustang. It's gonna be Mach-E. Ford Mach-E. Mach-E. I lost Mach-E. But Mike, what about charging? Well, don't worry. You have Ford Pass, and that gives you 4,000 places to charge your Mustang. Now, 4,000 places, what good is that? How long does it take? Well, from 10% to 80%, it charges in 45 minutes. Now, this thing has 483 kilometers worth of range, or about 350 miles of range, which is a ton. Most people I know don't drive that much. And if they do, well, there's places to charge it. That's a ton of kilometers. We're at that point now, we can do almost 500 kilometers worth of mileage. And it does 0 to 60 or 0 to 100 in it's got plenty of power. We're at that point. This thing's comfortable, it drives well. We're at that point. And I cannot believe that I'm saying that in a Ford Mustang SUV, that we've come to that point. Like, this is the first car that's made me realize that we're at that point. Sorry, it's an SUV. I'm so confused. 2021. I'm so confused. Now, 2021 is crazy. The new Benz C63 will be a 4-cylinder hybrid. Yeah, a C63 is going to be a 4-cylinder hybrid. Ford is making Mustangs that are SUVs. The world is a different place. And so is this channel, because we might be getting a track to ourselves, and that'll be sick. So stay tuned, guys. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for staying on board. And thanks for having the faith with us, because a track is coming soon to you. Fingers crossed.